All right, deep divers, settle in. Today, we're embarking on what I think is, well, one of the most fundamental human journeys imaginable.
Yeah.
How we tell stories. We're calling this deep dive Glow Up History, how humans learn to spin tales.
I like that title.
Yeah. And our mission, really, is to explore the incredible evolution of storytelling, from its most ancient origins right up to the absolute cutting edge of technology.
It's quite a span.
It really is. We've got this fascinating source material, from campfire whispers to cinema screens, the evolution of human storytelling to guide us. What really strikes me looking at this is just how endlessly inventive we've been, as a species, I mean.
Right.
Finding new ways to share narratives, not just for fun, but to shape our whole understanding of the world. Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even begin?
Well, I think the perfect starting point, if we kind of zoom out, is recognizing that behind every single one of these advancements, every new medium, there's always been this deep-seated human need. It's almost a cognitive impulse,
Right.
To make sense of our surroundings, connect with each other, and crucially, to transmit knowledge and experience.
So it's more than just entertainment.
Oh, much more. Stories aren't just a leisure activity. They're almost like the operating system through which we've always processed reality and built our collective memory. And it's this incredible adaptability of human creativity that's constantly pushing for more powerful, more immersive ways to satisfy that core need.
I love that idea. Stories as an operating system that really clicks.
Yeah.
When you think about the very first version of that system, I mean, we're talking about a time almost unimaginably long ago.
Right. Prehistory.
Picture it. Maybe a biting cold night, the only light, the only warmth coming from a flickering fire. Our sources paint this really vivid scene. Early humans gathered, communicating maybe with wild hand gestures, the firelight casting these dancing shadows on the cave walls, like primitive visual effects, almost accidental ones.
Exactly. Using the environment itself.
And the hero of these narratives, probably, as our source suggests, maybe a guy named Grug.
Oh, Grug.
And the plot was, well, strikingly simple, very direct, and incredibly high stakes. I saw a big bear. I lived. The end.
That's the core message right there. Survival.
Must have been such a profound relief for everyone else to hear that. But, as compelling as it was, story time literally ended when the fire did, right?
Yeah.
That's a practical limitation we barely even think about today.
And that limitation, it really highlights the primal significance of these tales. They weren't just, idle entertainment. They were critical infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
How so? Well, these stories played a fundamental role in survival, sharing vital information, where a dangerous predator lived, maybe which plants were safe to eat, that kind of thing.
Okay, practical knowledge.
Right. But more than that, they were essential for community building, huddled around a fire, sharing these experiences. It forged powerful social bonds. It reinforced group identity and trust in a way that just factual exchange couldn't.
Ah, the emotional connection.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating here is how they allowed early humans to process difficult, maybe traumatic, or even triumphant experiences, giving shape to chaos, integrating individual events into a shared understanding. It's where information and raw emotion first sort of intertwine to create something we now recognize as narrative.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so from Grug and his big bear, where stories were immediate, functional, we see this monumental leap into something much grander.
The epics.
Yeah. Our sources detail the rise of these epic narratives, full of, quote, gods with lightning and way too many love triangles.
Always with the love triangle.
Always. This is where oral tradition truly took hold, where the simple campfire tale evolved into these complex mythologies. I mean, think about it. Bards were essentially like the walking, talking Netflix of their day.
That's a great way to put it.
Committing vast sagas to memory, recounting them for hours, maybe days even, as they traveled.
The memory capacity alone is staggering.
It is. And these stories, they explained everything. From astronomical events to, local geological formations. And yes, even your weird cousin often had some mythological precedent for their antics.
Provides context.
Totally. And if you needed an explanation for anything inexplicable or just dramatic, our source gives us the classic fallback. Zeus did it again.
Seems plausible.
Like a comprehensive worldview, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, These elaborate myths and legends weren't just about explaining, why the sun rises. They provided the bedrock for entire societies, offering meaning, moral frameworks, a shared cultural identity.
So like the rules of the road for living together.
Precisely. And what's often overlooked is how they endured for generations without written language. The very structure of these oral tales, the poetic rhythms, the repetitive phrases, the vivid imagery, it was all designed to be memorable, almost like an ancient mnemonic device.
Built-in memorization tools.
Exactly. Losing a single bard could literally mean losing centuries of accumulated history, wisdom, cultural identity. They were the operating system of early civilizations, really. Dictating behavior, transmitting values, anchoring people's place in the universe.
Wow. It's astounding to consider that fragility.
Yeah.
But okay, as societies became more complex, more organized, stories needed a new kind of space. Literally.
Yeah, a physical space.
A bigger stage. Our deep dive now takes us to the theatrical leap stage plays and, royal drama.
Enter stage left.
Right.
Yeah.
The sources describe how theater made stories louder, weirder, and way more costumed.
Definitely louder.
This wasn't just spoken word anymore. It was physical embodiment. Live performance right there in front of you. Masks, for example. They weren't just mood indicators. Right? They could transform actors into gods or archetypes.
Right.
Let one performer play multiple roles, or just amplify emotion in those huge open-air amphitheaters.
Essential for visibility and character distinction.
And audience reactions. Not passive at all. They were visceral, loud, immediate, people throwing things sometimes.
Part of the experience.
And we can't talk about this era without mentioning Shakespeare, of course, who, as our source notes, could introduce romance and sword fights in one sentence.
Master of the multitasking line.
It wasn't just about telling a story, it was about performing it, creating an experience, the, quote, to be or not to be dramatic.
Yeah.
It really sums up that shift perfectly, I think.
It does. And this really raises an important question about the power of that shared physical experience, the unique catharsis of live performance.
Catharsis, yeah. Feeling it together.
Unlike solo listening, theater brought stories into a shared public space. It demanded collective attention and fostered this powerful, immediate emotional resonance. That direct interaction between performers and a live audience creates a feedback loop you just don't get in other mediums.
Right. The energy flows both ways.
And what's also fascinating is how theater externalized and sort of monumentalized human conflict. These grand narratives played out physically, often with intricate staging, symbolic costumes. It allowed communities to collectively grapple with moral dilemmas, existential questions, the consequences of ambition. It became a powerful tool for civic discourse and cultural self-reflection, really.
Okay, so from the roar of the crowd in an amphitheater, our storytelling journey takes another incredible turn into the purely auditory realm.
Radio days.
Radio days in an imaginary world. Suddenly, early 20th century, families were gathering around their radios. Our source describes them almost like glowing shrines.
The center of the living room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And stories came alive through sound alone. Our source paints this picture of people listening, imagining, and famously even panicking during particularly convincing broadcasts of alien invasions.
Orson Welles, right? War of the Worlds.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It really highlighted how the absence of visuals actually intensified the imaginative process for the listener.
Your mind filled in the blanks.
The magic was in the sound effects. The clatter of coconut shells for horses' hooves, the clever use of silence, perfectly timed suspense.
Foley artists became crucial.
And cliffhangers. They became legendary, practically forcing you to tune in tomorrow for the next installment. Who could forget titles like, Coming Up Next, The Phantom Cabbage Thief, Part 2.
Gotta know about the cabbage.
It just showed that pure sound, skillfully crafted, could paint the most vivid pictures imaginable.
And what's fascinating here is how radio forced listeners to become active co-creators of the visual experience.
Co-creators, I like that.
Yeah. Without an image to anchor it, the entire world of the story had to be constructed in the mind's eye, which made the narrative intensely personal, actually.
Because my version was different from yours.
Exactly. This era saw the development of incredibly sophisticated sound design, voice acting, turning subtle inflections, ambient noises, musical cues into powerful tools for building atmosphere, conveying emotion, painting those vivid mental landscapes. It really demonstrated that by engaging the imagination more actively, a story could be just as immersive, maybe even more immersive than a visual one. Because the visuals were bespoke, unique to each listener. It fundamentally shifted the storyteller's craft towards auditory cues and implied suggestion.
And then the Golden Glow Box arrived. the TV era.
Here come the pictures.
Suddenly, stories had not just visuals, but also unforgettable theme songs and, let's be honest, some truly bizarre commercials sandwiched in between.
Oh, yeah. Part of the cultural fabric.
This was the age of sitcoms, sprawling soap operas, the pure joy of Saturday morning cartoons. Our source reminds us that what we now call binge watching, it actually had its origins with VHS tapes, recording shows.
Ah, the VCR. Ancient tech now.
And the official viewing snack? TV dinners, of course. It became this central fixture in homes, fundamentally altering daily routines, family gatherings.
Dinner around the TV.
I still remember that phrase from older sets. Please don't touch that dial, because a slight bump could turn your crisp image into, well, snow.
Static City, yeah.
That was a new kind of magic, but maybe a more delicate one.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, television brought moving images directly into homes, and that catalyzed a profound societal transformation.
How so? Beyond just watching shows.
Well, it didn't just introduce new forms of entertainment, it reshaped the very rhythm of daily life. It introduced a new kind of communal experience. Even though people were in separate living rooms, they were often watching the same shows at the same time, creating these shared cultural touchstones across vast distances, jokes, catchphrases.
That or cooler talk the next day.
Exactly. What's interesting, too, is how it created a more passive form of visual consumption, kind of contrasting with radio's active imagination.
Right, you just sit back and watch.
And this widespread, consistent exposure to visual narratives from a young age began to standardize cultural norms, aspirations, for better or worse, really, effectively creating a global village long before the internet made that term common.
That's a powerful effect. So, okay, if TV brought stories home, cinema truly took storytelling to Hollywood. Blew it up to a grand scale.
Big screen, big...
Incredible special effects, spectacle. This was the full immersive experience. The smell of popcorn, plot twist that left you absolutely reeling, and those now essential post-credit scenes you have to wait for.
Don't leave early.
Never. Our source highlights how CGI made dragons fly, cities explode, bringing fantasies to life in ways previously unimaginable.
Visual boundaries just kept getting pushed.
And franchises turned into entire universes, right? Interconnected stories spanning decades. These weren't just movies. They became cultural events.
Absolutely.
They moved hearts, they launched memes we still quote today, and, yeah, made grown men cry in darkened theaters.
The shared emotional experience, amplified.
As the source humorously quips, every hero's journey starts with bad lighting. But the stories themselves were anything but dim. What do you think about that shift, just in what a story could achieve on such a grand scale?
That's a crucial point. And this raises an important question about how cinema fundamentally pushed the boundaries of visual storytelling and spectacle. It turned it into an art form capable of truly immersive, larger-than-life experiences.
It wasn't just showing, it was showing off.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Showing off the capabilities of the medium. Beyond the visual effects, cinema introduced incredibly sophisticated narrative structures. Think about the use of montage, flashback, nonlinear storytelling. That reshaped how audiences processed information and emotion.
We learned a new visual language.
We did, and economically it became this massive industry, capable of funding incredible technical innovations, drawing talent from all over the world, essentially becoming the primary engine for global cultural narrative dissemination. Influencing everything from fashion to political thought, it solidified the idea of a shared, powerful visual narrative experience as a global commodity.
Wow. Okay. And now we're in an era that completely flips the script on that sort of top-down, big-budget model.
The digital age.
We jump into the present day. Social stories, streams, short-form sagas. They've changed absolutely everything. Our source captures it perfectly. Now everyone's a storyteller. Even your cat.
If your cat has a TikTok, maybe?
Probably. We're talking Reels, TikToks, Threads, those incredible concise 60-second plots packed with epic music and emojis. It's a massive cultural shift. Like the source says, your grandma probably does have a podcast now.
It's entirely possible.
It's all about rapid-fire narratives, instant sharing, and often the interaction is the story itself. I mean, how many times have you seen a whole narrative unfold once upon a time in the comments section, as our source humorously puts it?
Happens all the time. The conversation becomes the content.
What do you think this fragmentation of narrative means? For how we construct meaning, maybe?
Well, what's fascinating here is how the lines between consumption and creation have not just blurred, they've almost entirely dissolved in the digital age.
Creator and audience are the same sometimes.
Often. This leads to an unprecedented diversity of voices participating in storytelling, from highly produced stuff to raw, unfiltered moments, which is amazing in many ways. However, this democratization also presents a paradox, doesn't it? In an ocean of narratives, how do you discern quality? Or even truth?
That's a huge challenge.
The definition of a story itself has broadened immensely. From a linear plot to just a fleeting moment, maybe emphasizing emotional resonance or viral shareability over traditional narrative arcs. And the rapid pace of communication, the constant demand for novelty. It means narratives are often created and consumed at breakneck speed, maybe leaving less room for deep reflection, but creating this incredibly dynamic, albeit maybe fragmented, global conversation.
Fragmented is a good word. That's a huge point about quality and truth, too. So if that's the present, everyone's a storyteller in this fragmented, rapid-fire world. What about future tales?
Where do we go from here?
Exactly. We're looking at interactive, immersive, instant experiences, things that move way beyond passive consumption.
The next frontier.
This is where story truly meets simulation. Our source posits that, quote, you are the main character now.
Okay, intriguing.
We're talking about mind-blowing examples, like VR stories you literally walk through, physically, inside the narrative space.
Embodied storytelling.
Or AI that can write you directly into the plot, personalizing the entire experience just for you. Imagine hologram bedtime stories with surround sound, creating this truly magical, adaptable experience.
Wow.
The ultimate concept here, and our source nails it, is choose your own adventure with your brain. The lines between observer and participant are blurring into, well, oblivion. And that has profound implications.
It really does. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this represents a profound shift from being a passive audience member to an active participant. And it fundamentally challenges our understanding of agency within a narrative.
Agency meaning my choices matter in the story.
Exactly. But what happens to empathy when the story adapts entirely to your choices? How do we build shared cultural understanding when everyone's narrative experience is utterly unique, personalized by an AI? That's a deep question.
It blurs the lines between reality and fiction in completely unprecedented ways. It opens up an entirely new dimension of storytelling possibilities, sure, where the narrative becomes almost an extension of the self. But it also raises serious questions about what it means to truly connect with a story or with the other through a story when you are, in essence, its sole guiding creator.
What an absolutely wild journey we've just taken. Seriously.
From Grug to VR.
From Grug around the campfire, sharing vital survival tips, building community bonds, all the way to virtual reality experiences where you're literally walking through the story and AI is writing you into the plot.
It's mind-bending.
It really underscores humanity's ceaseless, almost insatiable drive to tell and hear stories, to connect, to learn, to process, and yeah, just to be utterly captivated. It's been woven into our DNA from the very beginning, hasn't it?
Seems that way. Fundamental. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left thinking, what does it mean for you listening right now when a story becomes this interactive? What does that shift from passive observation to active participation really feel like?
That's precisely it. When you consider this incredible evolution, from simple whispers that built community to these potentially immersive, maybe brain-linked adventures, is the core human experience of a story, that sense of connection, understanding, shared emotion. Is that being tested? Are we fundamentally altering what it means to connect through narrative, or are we simply finding new, maybe more potent ways to satisfy that ancient human need? Perhaps the more pressing question for you to ponder is, what responsibilities come with being the main character of your own ever-evolving stories, and what new forms of storytelling are you most excited, or perhaps even a little nervous to experience next?